Hey everyone, it's Dr. Jen. Today is What's Up Wednesday, 1 o'clock at Facebook Live, talking about all topics that parents want to know about. And I sort of changed what I was going to do today. I'm talking about picky eaters. I did not too long ago for Big City Moms, talking about how to start your children eating lots of different foods right from the start. And that's obviously one of the tips to help decrease picky eaters. But all the time, and questions from the audience was all about having picky eaters. And I just finished up on a checkup with one of my favorite patients, and her name is Ella, and she has permission to be here with her mom. You want to say hi?
Hi.
And Ella just turned, how old are you, Ella?
4.
So Ella just turned 4 years old. So I'm going to talk about some tips and some tricks to help you manage your child who is a picky eater. And Ella used to be very small, and Mom was concerned that she was a picky eater, but she's doing great. She actually gained 6 pounds from your checkup from last year, from when you were 3. Now she's 4, and she's going to tell us some of the things that she does. And this just, again, happened to be her checkup day, and so it was very exciting that she wanted to be on Dr. Jen and tell people some of the good things that she does that have been helpful and that we've taught Mom. But just to go back to the beginning, I'm Dr. Jen. I'm a pediatrician on the Upper East Side. I'm also an assistant clinical professor of pediatrics at the Icahn School of Medicine, where I teach residents and medical students as well. And I've been in private practice for over 20 years, taking care of kids from newborns. I've known Ella since she was a newborn all the way through young adulthood, but she's 4 now,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And you can wave to everyone if you want. That's fun. Show them your 4 fingers, how old you are, right? So what the aim is, when you're talking about picky eaters, but kids in general, is 3 meals and 2 snacks a day. And then I like to give a lot of water. Water is what I like to serve for meals. You don't really want to give a lot of juice and fruit punches and sodas, because that just fills them up, and then they don't eat very well. And I think one of the things to be really cognizant to be aware about is portion size. So one of the things is, parents always tell me that their kids are picky eaters, and then I ask them, well, what are they eating? And they give me this list of pretty good 10 things or so that they're eating, and it's not as bad as they think that they're doing. And so first of all, I give them a pat on the back saying it's not so bad. We could talk about helping some more, but you have to remember portion size when it comes to kids. So when you're talking about how much a child should eat, or a toddler, it's the size of your fist. Can you make a fist for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a fist is not that big, right? So on your plate, yeah, use a little plate, and a fist is about the amount of food that they need. So if you're talking about like a serving, so you said you like eggs, it's like half an egg, or for grains, it's like 3 or 4 little crackers or half a piece of toast. That's a serving. And so I think parents often think that a serving would be something that they ate themselves, and it's way smaller. So first of all, you may think your child is being picky and not eating a lot, but for their size, they shouldn't be eating much more. And when we looked at Ella's growth chart today, her height and weight were so in proportion. So even though she's short and petite, everything is in proportion, and she's very, very healthy. So we're going to talk a little bit more about things that you like to eat, okay?
Yes.
So first of all, one of the things that I told Mom, and she was really good about doing, is if Ella didn't want to eat, not offer her just candy and junk and stuff instead. Because what happens, and I see this a lot, is that when we have kids that are picky eaters, and then you give them lots of sugary and processed food and candies just to give them added calories, that becomes then the issue when I see them coming through puberty. That all they know is all that candy and sugar and sweetness, and that's more of a problem than the ones that were picky and thin early on. And if we start to do some of these little tips that I have now, those kids that were picky or not eating that much, though they're following their growth curves and it's small, they have learned now and become much more open to eating new foods. And Ella's going to tell us about some of the foods that she's actually has tried that she now does like. So just the biggest don't is just don't overload them with sugar and processed food just to get them to eat. It's rather better than just to eat small amounts of healthier foods. So one of the things that I remember telling Mom is not to be a short order cook, meaning when they make dinner, make one dinner for everyone. Make sure there's something there that your child likes, and then have lots of other new foods out there. And being a model, and a good model, and her mom is a great model for eating is really important. So if they see you eat and dad eat and the siblings eat, they may be much more likely then to try a new food. One thing that I found with my daughter, and it was really funny because Ella's mom told me the same thing, is sometimes when Ella sees her friends eating certain foods, then you want to try them. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Do you remember? What did your friend eat that you thought then was a good food to eat?
Her name, I have two best friends, and their name is Stella and Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
And they like eggs, and so I like eggs.
So now you like
and
eggs.
And bacon.
Wow.
I like bacon
You
too.
do. So that was so great. So you tried eggs and bacon because your friends had it. So again, so that always works well too. I remember when my daughter went to one of her really good friends, who's the mom I'm good friends with, so she went to her house. And she was telling me all the time that my daughter always ate chicken there. And I said, she never eats chicken at my house. She goes, well, she always eats it. And I said, ask my daughter, and she said, well, she makes chicken and broccoli, and so I eat it when I'm there. So, you know, again, expose them to different foods, and don't always expect them to eat it, but exposing them at mealtime can be really, really important. I don't think you should ever push them or make them eat it, but just having it around. As they grow older, they will then want to eat it or even to try it. But it's not like we're trying, this is like a long-term process. You're not going to get all your kids or your kids to eat everything all at once at age 2, 3, 4, and 5. They go through picky phases, and especially because they aren't growing so much. That first year of life, they grow a lot. But now they grow much more slowly, and so they know the cues, and if they're not hungry, it's okay for them not to eat. Does mommy say that sometimes? If you're not hungry, then you don't have to eat. She doesn't force you to eat, right?
Sometimes I don't want snacks, and sometimes I do snacks. And my mom says I don't have to eat the snacks that I don't want to have right now.
That's great. So if you don't want a snack, you don't have to have it. But also at dinner time, if you're just not hungry, then that's fine. You know, as a mom, you don't want to make 5,000 different foods. If they don't want it, then that's fine. They can heat it. You can leave it, and they can heat it up later. But I'm going to tell you, your child is not going to starve. If you're watching this and you're watching Dr. Jen, you care so much about your kids, right? And they're not going to starve. We're not living in a third world country. It's important to give them foods that they do like, and to offer new foods, to go to your checkups to make sure that they're growing appropriately, but not to force foods on them. They will be okay. So the other thing I want to talk about is distractions. One of the things, and I told your mom not to do this when you were very little and you didn't really want to eat that much, some people say to me, well, I feed them in front of the TV. So that's like a big no-no. I don't know. Do you have a TV in your kitchen? Do you watch TV when you eat?
I don't have a TV in my kitchen. Only in the living room and my mom's room.
Okay. So that's really good, because when you're eating, it's good to eat in the kitchen or a dining room where there's no distraction. So all you're doing is eating. You may be talking to each other, talking to mom, or talking to your brother.
Or talking to my dad.
Or talking to your dad. But at the same time, you are concentrating on what you're eating, and you're seeing what you're eating. So for parents, I often say it's good to already prepare the food, put it out on the table, give the plate, the small toddler portion, and then if they want more, right, very good, you're so smart. If they want more of seconds, depending on what it is, then they can have that too, but just start with that smaller portion. And if that's all they want, that's fine. You don't want to have the distractions to make them eating more. Because then, again, we know that kids who eat in front of the TV, they eat a lot more junk, a lot more extra calories. They see all that junk on TV, right? And then you want to buy it. So it's great to eat in the kitchen like you do. So that was great that you do that tip of mine as well, too. So let's see what else. As I said, you don't want to force your child to eat anything that they don't want to eat. You're going to say something?
Yeah. And you don't want to eat so much candy, because from Willy Wonka, if you eat too much candy, you'll turn into that big blueberry.
So that's so smart of you to say. So that's what I was actually saying before, right? If you start off eating a lot of candy when you're young, you just keep on eating and keep on eating it, and you get more cravings for it, and then And
if a girl has long hair and they eat so much, they get really longer hair.
Oh, well, that one I don't know about. I might have to look that up. I'm not sure if medically that's true. But I'm going to go on to my next tip, okay?
Okay.
So we're not going to force. We're not going to just eat candy instead. We'd rather have nothing. And when we feel hungry, we'll have to try to eat something that is a little bit more healthy than candy all the time. But sometimes it's okay to have it for certain specialties, right? So we don't want to bribe them. I think that's the worst thing to do. It's like if you eat your meal, then you can have dessert. And to me, I don't think dessert like belongs with every meal. Dessert is a special treat in special times, but usually unless it's fruit, then it really shouldn't be part of dinner. You should eat the food that's there and not be like, well, if you eat this, then you can have dessert and cake and cookies as well too. That should be totally separate. And if
it's someone's birthday, you can get them a present and get them a birthday card, and after you eat the whole plate of your dinner, you can have the cake.
Right, so then you can have a little bit of cake, so it's not all the time or every single dinner. I totally agree with you.
Yes, and you can only have one piece of the cake.
Ah, well, that was my next tip. How did you know I was going to say that? We didn't even have a pre-conversation. This was like totally automatic that you were here today. So that's what I was going to say. It's all about portion control. My family loves ice cream. They just love ice cream. And I'm not going to say, hey, you can't ever have ice cream anymore. But you know what? You have one scoop when you have it.
Yeah.
Why do people have to go out and have to have 3 scoops or 4 scoops and the biggest one's there? Have a small one, and that's totally fine. It's okay. I'm not going to pretend I'm this perfect mom and we don't have any sweets or any candy, but you have to just have it in proportion, just like you said. So if you're having the cake, you just have one piece. You'll be very happy. You feel good about that, and you just have the one piece, right?
Yeah. And you just eat the whole piece of cake, and then you can't have no more cake.
Right. And then if you're still hungry, you can have like an apple. You told me you also like bananas.
Yeah, and it's fine that you can have like bacon and eggs and chicken or any food that you will like, but not candy.
All the time, correct. So I'm going to go on to my next tip since you're helping me so well. So try not to have food fights with your child in battles because they're always going to win. So it's just what happens is you get upset, then your husband gets upset, and they say, how come it's, you can't control them? Why are you making so many things? Why are they not? And kids that's how they, want to be heard, and that they can do that by really their behaviors. So you don't want to have all the screaming and fighting. I actually think it should be really a neutral time. If they don't want it, they don't want it. Don't make a big deal about it. If they're hungry, they'll eat something later. So just really don't get into the tantrums. Keep it really, really neutral. And as I said, kids have to try foods 10 to 15 times until they like it. Now hear this.
And they have to have their whole entire food, and then they can have their dessert.
Correct. Well, we already said that, so I'm going to move on to the next tip.
Okay.
And one of the things I was saying is that you have to try things over and over again. So when you're a baby, sometimes you might not like a baby food or a puree of bananas or something mashed up. But then when you're older and you have apples, slices.
And you can have mashed up potatoes.
Right. Or if you can have, if you didn't like it that way, then when you're older, if it's in a different way, you may like it. I'm going to give an example like for my daughter. So she did not like sandwiches. I know you told me you do eat grilled cheese sandwiches, but my daughter didn't like sandwiches. So I would just take chicken or turkey and some cheese, put some avocado on it, roll it up and make it into slices. Then she would eat it as long as it didn't have the bread. So she just didn't like the bread, so that was fine. That actually worked out really well. So you can be creative. Kids like it.
And really toast.
Yeah, so toast too. When I was little, I only ate toast what I called soldier toast. And that was when it was cut into like little slices, like rectangles. So sometimes when you make it fun shapes, your mom said also if you make like little kebabs, like if you put it on like sticks, like bananas.
But my brother says he loves cotton candy, but my mom said after his lunch he can have the cotton candy.
Right, so it is important to have healthy foods first. But when talking to kids, I don't like to always talk about what's healthy or what's not. Like Mom said, you can have it afterwards if you want, because then he would be more full and maybe eat less. But again, it's
not
everything is
food.
Yeah, everything is relative. So some people say, well, pizza's not healthy. Well, to be honest, for a kid, if you're just having one slice, maybe you can get it on a whole grain pizza. That would be good. But there's cheese on it. There's tomato. So if it's just having one slice and then maybe having a salad with it, that's also great too.
And my brother likes Caesar salads that have croutons in it.
And you told me you like to eat cucumbers. That was a new food that you started to try, right, as well too.
Mm-hmm.
So some people also then like kids if things are cut up. So if you have things that are cut up like vegetables, if you didn't like them cooked, but if you have them raw, like slices of all different color peppers and cucumbers, and lots of people like dips or salsas or yogurts to dip it in. Mommy says you like yogurt now too that you used to not eat. So again, you're just trying different things in different ways. And another important thing is that
if you didn't eat some food that you don't try, you can try the food that you didn't eat. So if you wanted to try the food that you didn't eat today, you can try it.
Right. So if you don't like it one day, you could try it another day, because maybe another day you're feeling like you want to try it. So I think that's a really good tip too. I also think to cut up things really small. This just happened yesterday. I can buy watermelon and I leave it in my refrigerator and nobody eats it. But if I was so busy, I had to buy the cut up one already.
Oh, and you don't eat the food that been through there for a really long time. That's how it gets old.
Okay, we could talk about that too, right? If something's really old, you have to throw it out after a while because it could be unhealthy if you leave it out.
You can't eat the things that you can't eat the things that were old.
Right. So, but let me just finish what I was saying. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So I was also saying, little pieces. So I had watermelon. So I bought a container of watermelon, and it does cost more than usual if I cut up myself, but I was working really late. So I had it all cut up already. I left it out. So if you leave food out that you want your kids to eat, they will eat them. And I came home and all the watermelon was done, and that was their snack. Probably if I wasn't there, they may have chosen something else. I try not to keep too much junk, but they might have had chips or something else. So again, make healthy foods readily available, and they'll be more likely to eat them. And again, as I was saying, out of sight, out of mind, right? So don't keep, I remember when my daughter was your age, someone came over and said to me, "Where's your junk drawer? Where do you have all those snacks?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" So it's, you don't want to have so much snacks that are, really processed foods in the house, because if you have a lot of it, and I'm not going to say they're never going to eat it, but if you have a lot of it, then they're going to eat more of it if it's just around, right?
And yes, and you can't eat a lot of cookies like Cookie Monster.
Right, you don't want to eat too many cookies, but every once in a while it's okay to have cookies. You can have it with milk. Mom, I remember that Mommy used to breastfeed you, and then I remember that you didn't like to have regular milk, but Mommy just told me now that you drink almond milk.
Yeah, and after you lunch, it's really, really fine if you don't want the dessert and you really want the dessert after your food.
Right, so you really don't want to put dessert before your food. But as I said, we don't have to have dessert all the time, right? So one of the things, as I said, that is also helpful, and Mom says you like to do, is help her to cook, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes when kids are really involved, and again, that's quality time together. So they can do different things. They can help mix things together. They can pour things into bowls.
Yeah.
Mom said you'd like to help make the meatballs.
And pancakes I like to make.
And pancakes you like to help make in the morning too?
Yeah.
Who makes your pancakes, Mommy or Daddy?
My mom and me makes the
Do the
pancakes.
cooking? Mm-hmm.
And my brother, but at my house, my dad never cooks the food.
Okay. I bet he does many other things because I've met your dad many times, and he actually comes to many of your visits, so he's a really great guy too. So he might not do the cooking, but I know that he often eats with you, and and you guys talk. And do you ever have anything with the pancakes? So pancakes is good. Do you ever have berries or any kind of fruit with it too?
Not any fruit.
No. Sometimes though you have fruit for snacks or at other times. And I heard that there are now, Mom used to just put it out again on the table, and you started on yourself to eat some kind of vegetables. What vegetable was that you kind of like now?
Grapes.
Well, grapes you do like, because that's a fruit, but it's green and it looks like little trees.
And broccoli.
Right, and you used to not like it, but Mom said she put it out a lot, and she didn't force you. She didn't say you had to have it, and you started trying it. And that's what happens over the years. It's just that seeing and knowing what's important to your family will become ingrained and important to your child as well.
Then
too.
I just popped it in my mouth.
And what did you think?
And then I think it was really good, and it was crispy, and then I started liking it.
And just because you tried it on yourself, which was amazing, like no one forced you and said you had to eat your broccoli tonight. You just wanted to try it, and that's the best way.
Nobody says you have to eat your broccoli. Nobody says that.
Right. So you are one of my best patients because I think you and your mom really listen to all the tips that I have. I'm going to say something else. I said make it exciting and make it different, but also keeping it boring is okay too. We know from people who are healthy and athletes, sometimes they eat the same thing over and over again.
And you can't get really, really, really close to the TV because your eye can't see.
Well, that's true. But we talked already about TVs, right? We don't want TVs when we're eating because we don't want to be paying attention to the TV when we're eating. So lastly, what I was saying is about keeping it boring is it's okay. If people tell me, well, my child is eating toast with almond butter in the morning or toast with avocado and they have some fruit on the side, that's what she wants to eat every day. Well, that's okay. That's like pretty healthy. That's really good. If it's boring, it's okay as long as it's getting done. They'll try other things, but they go through periods that they like to eat the same thing over and over, and that's okay. Mom said sometimes you have smoothies now, and I think every once in a while smoothies are good. It's a great way. You have banana. She said she puts it in yogurt in there too. Sometimes we get some greens in there too, so that's nice too.
My name is Ella.
And yes, we can't forget your name is Ella. What's my name?
I call you Dr. Trachtenberg.
You call me Dr. Trachtenberg, but a lot of people call me Dr. Jen, but that's right. Yeah. And lastly, just to finish up, everyone always worries about vitamins and minerals, and to be honest, everything is so fortified now. Kids are getting a lot of vitamins and minerals, but what we're seeing is sometimes they're missing the proteins. But now we know kids may not be eating meat, but they may be eating, like Ella said, eggs, and she tried salmon because her friends had it. You want to make sure they're getting enough fiber and whole grains, beans, when you mix them into other foods. Kids may like those as well too. And the vitamins, vitamin D and calcium are really important. You can get calcium in cheeses and vitamin D. Many things are fortified. Are you getting a little tired?
Yeah.
I'm almost done. But as I said, she never really wanted to drink whole milk after breastfeeding, but now has almond milk, and that's a good choice as well too. Some people want soy, so try different things. Things change as you go along each year. The take home is really be a role model. Don't force your kids to take anything. Really don't use food as a bribe. Don't try to give them candy and candy and candy, because then that becomes a problem as they come into adolescence and go through puberty. But just as a family, really just be mindful of what you eat. And Ella, I just want to say thank you so much for helping me for today. It was so nice to have you. It was just an unexpected surprise that you were having your 4-year-old visit. And we kind of did the whole visit, but one of the last things I'm going to say is it's important to have your visit so we can measure your height and your weight, do a whole talk and exam. But now Ella is going to go and be a brave girl and get her 4-year-old booster shots that she needs because she's going to go to big girl school next year, right?
Yeah, and I'm soon going to go to camp, but still I go to school sometimes.
Right. So we're going to finish up her checkup now. Thanks all for tuning in and watching Dr. Jen on What's Up Wednesday, talking about picky eaters and seeing how well they grow. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Me or Ella can answer them for you. And have a great day. You want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Bye.